This lab is on inter-VLAN routing, static route, and RIPv2 configuration on this network that involve 4 routers itself. First, we're going to do all the basic configurations such as disable DNS lookup, assign the device name with the host name, assign the private executive encrypted password, and also to assign the password for the console and VTY login. As the configuration involves 4 routers and 3 switches, we're going to make use of a simple method to configure all the routers at the same time, as all these configurations basically are the same. Okay, go to desktop, we're going to make use of a new text file. Okay, open it. Okay. Put your packet tracer on one side of the desktop. Okay, so for disable DNS lookup, the command basically is IP domain, no IP domain lookup. Okay, press enter, go to the next line, exclamation mark, followed by device name, which in this case, let's do it for R1 first, host name R1, enter exclamation mark. Okay, assign the private executive encrypt password, which is enable secret. In this case, class. Then we'll follow on by line, console 0, password, which is Cisco, login, then line, VTY04, password, Cisco again, login. Okay, and because of the fact that we need to assign Cisco as the enable login password, so enable password Cisco, and these are basically all the basic configuration that we need to do for all the routers and switches. Control A, or select all the text, copy, go to packet tracer, go to R1, enable config T, paste the configuration onto the router itself. Do the same thing for R2, R3, and R4. In this case, we need to change the host name to R2. Control C, go to R2, do the same thing, enable config T, paste. Okay, next R3, Control A, Control C, R3. Enable config T, paste. R4, last one, Control A, Control C. Enable config T, paste. And last but not least, your switch. In this case, will be your SW1. Host name change to SW1. For VTY, remember that switch is 0 to 15. Control C, go to the switch, enable config T, paste. And you have finished all the basic configuration for the 4 routers and 3 switches. So we have actually finished up from option A all the way to option D. Okay, now we will go for option E. We will need to create the VLAN 10 and assign student as a name, and for F, VLAN 20 and assign faculty as a name. So go to the switch, how to create VLAN, in this case VLAN 10, followed by naming the VLAN, which in this case will be student. Same thing, VLAN 20, name, faculty. How to verify? Okay, basically do a show VLAN brief to verify the 2 VLAN that we created with the actual name. Before we start to configure all the address on all the interfaces, okay, let's go to I first, which basically involves inserting of a serial card onto R4. Because of the fact that R4 is not equipped with serial card, we are not able to connect a serial link. So go to R4. Before you do that, ensure that you save your configuration, because we need to switch off the router by doing the WR. Okay, after that, go to physical, switch off, insert your serial card, switch on. Okay, Next, we are supposed to insert a serial cable to connect between R3 S000 to R4 S00 with R4 as the DCE. Select on the cable link, select serial DCE, start off with R4 000, connect to R3 000. You can see that the top face lies with R4 serial interface, which is the requirement given. So now we can proceed to configure all the IP addresses on all the interfaces. Okay, so let's start off with R1. Okay, we're supposed to configure G0/0. We are supposed to configure inter-VLAN routing on this router, which involves sub-interfaces. So let's go to the main interfaces, which is interface G00, do a no shut, followed by G0/0.10, which is a sub-interface.10. Okay, followed by encapsulation .1Q 10. We specified the VLAN that these sub-interfaces is going to be supported. And last but not least, the IP address, which is 192.168.10.1, 255.255.255.0, which is /24. Next, go to interface 0/0.20. Same thing, encapsulation .1Q 20. IP address 192.168.20.1, 255.255.255.0, which is subnet mask for /24. Last but not least, serial interface 000. IP address 10.10.10.2, 255.255.255.252, which is a subnet mask for /30, followed by a no shut to up the interface. Let's go on to R2. Interface 0000. IP address 10.10.10.1, 255.255.255.252 for /30. Because this is a DCE site, so we are going to assign clock rate of 64,000. Okay, and by no shut. Same thing, go to the next interface 0001. IP address 172.16.95.1, 255.255.255.252, no shut. This is also the serial DCE side of the serial interface. So let's do the clock rate 64,000. Okay, so that will complete all the IP address for R2. R3, do the same thing. Interface S001. IP address 172.16.95.2, 255.255.255.252, no shut to up the interface. Then interface S000, IP at 172.16.102.2, 255.255.255.252, no shut. Next, go on to R4. Password is Cisco for first level pass login. Class for second level. Config key. Interface S000. IP at 172.16.102.1, 255.255.255.252 for /30. Clock rate 64,000. No shut to up interface. Interface G0/1, IP at 172.16.222.1, 255.255.255.0, no shut to up the gigabit interface. Okay, and we have finished off this portion of the configuration which involve all the IP addresses on all the interface on the router. Next, okay, we are supposed to configure. Let's look at the switch. We're supposed to configure some configuration also. Okay, FA01, which connects the router, which needs to support more than one VLAN. This is the reason why we actually need to set it to a trunk mode. So go to interface FA01, switch port mode trunk. because of the fact that you need to support more than one VLAN. Okay. Then we can see that interface FA02 is supposed to support VLAN 10. So interface FA02 switch port mode access switch port access VLAN 10 for it to support the configuration VLAN 10. Similarly, for port 8 and port 11 is supposed to support VLAN 20. So interface FA08 FA0/8 switch port mode access switch port access VLAN 20. Same thing for interface FA0/11 switch port mode access switch port access VLAN 20. And that's it. We have done all the configuration for the switch. Next, okay, we also forgotten to configure the IP address for VLAN 10 on the switch itself. So interface VLAN 10 to configure the IP address, IP at 192.168.10.2, 255.255.255.0. Okay, do show run to verify all the configuration. Okay, port 1 is trunk, port 2 is VLAN 10, port 8 is VLAN 20, port 11 is VLAN 20, and IP address has been configured for VLAN 10. Okay, next let's go to all the PC and configure all the IP address that is been given. 192.168.10.10. Default subnet mask 192.168.10.1, which is a gateway given. Same thing for PC2. Okay, 192.168.20.10. Default subnet mask 192.168.20.1 with default gateway. Same thing for PC3. 192.168.20.12. Default subnet mask 192.168.20.1 which is the default gateway that's been assigned. And that's it. We have actually completed all the IP address configuration on the computers and also the IP address of VLAN 10 on the switches, and the assignment of the different interface to the different VLAN that is to be tagged. And that will complete our A to H. Next, we will start off with a configuration of the routing protocol RIP version 2 on R1 and R2 and R3. Take note that we are only going to involve R1, R2 and R3 and not to involve R4 because of the fact that we're going to do a static route for R3 to reach the network that PC4 is connected to, and a default route on R4 that is going to reach the rest of the network. So an easier way to how to configure dynamic routing protocol on the router, okay, is to start off by doing a do show IP route to look at all the network that the router is connected to. And you can see that in this case the router is connected to the 10 network, which can be denoted by the code C, the 192.10 network and the 192.20.0 network. So in this case, we are doing our RIP configuration, we are going to involve this network. So how to do? Start off by doing router RIP. Okay, always remember we are going to do version 2 and no auto summary is a must for RIP configuration. And start off with a network 10.10.10.0, okay, which can be denoted by the C, network 192.168.10.0 and network 192.168.20.0, which are denoted by all the code C. Okay, and just to take note that RIP basically will convert the different classes of address class ABC to its respective representation when you are looking at the show run configuration. Let's go to R2, do the same thing, do show IP route to assist us in the RIP configuration. So router RIP version 2, no auto summary, followed by network 10.10.10.0 and network 172.16 .95.0. Okay, and that's it for R2. Let's do it for R3 now. Okay, so in this case, as I mentioned, we are not going to involve R4, so we are going to not to involve 172.16.102 network. So router RIP version 2, no auto summary, followed by network 172.16.95.0, and that's it. You have enabled RIP between R1, R2 and R3. Go back to R1, do a show IP route, and you should be able to see some network that is been denoted by the code R, which represent RIP. At the same time, the administrative distance denoted by RIP is 120, and slash followed by the metric, which is the number of hop count or the number of router that will enable the router to reach the corresponding destination network. Okay. So we have configured J. Next, on R3, because of the fact that we're going to make use of a static route to reach PC4 network, we are supposed to enable redistribution of static route to R1 and R4. So in this case, the command basically is to redistribute static. Okay, so to share static route information will be redistribute static. To share default route information will be default information originate. Okay, now configure static route R3 to reach PC4 network. So basically it will be IP route. In this case, PC4 network will be 172.16.222.0.255.255.255.0. We are supposed to use the exit interface, which in this case will be the S00 interface. Okay, always look in the direction of the interface that is able to reach the destination network, because S001 is going outward, S000 is going towards the direction of PC4. Okay, press enter. Verify your IP static route has been configured by doing a do show IP route. You can see that it has been denoted with the code S. Okay. And we can verify it that the static route has been shared to R1, R2 by going to R1, do a show IP route. Okay. So you can see there's a static route 222 that has been shared to R1. Okay, and last but not least, configure default route R4. Will be IP route. So the default route basically will be 80 0.0.0 spacebar 0.0.0.0, and we are going to use the next hop addresses, which in this case will be from R4. I hop over to R3 interface, and we are supposed to use the IP address of R3000, which in this case will be 172.16.102.2. Okay, that will be the static route. That will be the default route that will configure to reach R1, R2, and R3 network. Let's verify by doing the show IP route to confirm that the default route, which is represented by code S. After completed, that will be all the configuration that we need to do for the configuration. And how to verify, very simple, just make use of one PC on one side of the network and do a ping to 172.16.222.10, in this case PC4. Oh, sorry, forgot the stop. Okay, let's wait a while for the ping to get through. There may be some request timeout because of the fact that the router will actually need to search, okay, for the route to reach PC4. So if there's some request timeout, it may be advisable to actually ping from point to point in order to verify the connection. So from PC1, let's start to ping the gateway first. 192.168.10.1. Okay, I can safely reach R1. Okay, let's try to reach R2, which is 10.10.10.1. I've replied. Okay, let's try to reach R3. 172.16.102.2. Yes, I've replied to. Let's try to reach R4, which is .1. Yes, I've replied to. And last but not least, if I'm not wrong, I haven't configured PC4. That's why I cannot reach the network. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. 172.16.222.10. Default subnet mask 24. 172.16.222.1. Okay, this is probably that one. Okay, close it. Let's actually try to ping the initial IP address. Let's wait for a while. And we have successfully able to ping from PC1 to PC4. And that's the